Welcome to Nexus. I'm Wanda Allen Abrahat, the Director of the Human Relations Department. We are excited to bring you today's program. The Human Relations Department enforces and encourages fair treatment and equal rights for the citizens and residents of the City of Winston-Salem. The Human Relations Department has three key areas of responsibility. They include investigate housing discrimination based on race, color, national origin, religion, disability, family status, and gender, mediating landlord-tenant complaints, and conducting cultural diversity education and inclusion training and outreach. This television program is a part of our education and outreach efforts. All Nexus television programs feature community partners. During this episode, we will focus on National Fair Housing Month. We will be speaking with Phyllis Caldwell-George, who is the CEO of Financial Pathways of the Piedmont and a member of the Human Relations Commission's New Horizons Fair Housing Committee, as well as Mr. Ed Sharp, who is an attorney with Legal Aid of North Carolina. Let's join Adolfo Briceño of our staff, who will interview today's guests.
Hello, and thank you all of you for being with us in this edition of Nexus TV. In this edition of Nexus TV, we have a very special guest. We have Ms. Phyllis Caldwell-George. She is the president and CEO of Financial Pathways of the Piedmont, and she's going to be joining us for this very first segment. Thank you for your time, Ms. Caldwell-George.
You're quite welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Now we're going to be talking a little bit about your organization does in regards to National Fair Housing Month. But let's not anticipate what you will have to tell us, Ms. Caldwell-George, and tell me a little bit before we delve into the subject. What does Financial Pathways of the Piedmont does for the public?
Sure. So Financial Pathways of the Piedmont has actually been in the community since 1972. And our organization, basically, we simply try to ensure the financial health and well-being of our community members. And we do that with our programs and services. Our vision is that everyone in our community deserves financial well-being. Our staff are certified housing and credit counselors. They actually receive training from the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, who we are affiliates of. And we are also a HUD-approved housing counseling agency and have been since 1980. In addition to that, we're also a United Way agency. We are accredited by the Council on Accreditation. Our staff and also adheres to the national industry standards for housing counseling. And basically, what we do is assist individuals through crisis, whether that is if they're facing foreclosure, if they have been laid off from work, if they are experiencing any type of financial fragility. Our organization is ready and available to assist them with whatever their personal money management goals may be. We offer a number of services that are known in the community. We have a Center for Home Ownership that assists individuals and families who are maybe first-time homeowners. We also have a senior financial care program that also helps individuals with their money management. They may be seniors and they may have transitioned from working and now they are receiving fixed income, or they are perhaps on disability. And so we also help seniors navigate their particular personal money management. We also have a representative payee program. And with that particular program, we help some of the most vulnerable community members. They have actually been deemed by Social Security is unable to handle their finances. So we actually receive their benefits. And then we ensure that things like the rent and utilities are paid. And they'll also have personal funds for food and things of that particular nature. We also do budget and credit counseling. That's what most people know us for. If someone comes into our office, everyone gets an individual action plan, and we basically help individuals identify whatever their personal goals are, and then we're able to coach them through that particular process. We also provide financial education in the community. We may work with an employer, or we may work with a university to provide an array of financial education workshops that are tailored to the individual needs. So we basically serve clients with financial counseling, financial coaching, and then also financial education. We also do student loan counseling. As you all know, the student loan debt is outpacing credit card debt at this point in time. And so we help clients to navigate their student loan repayment options. We also help small business owners with things like personal finance, and we do small business education. They may want to set up a business, or they want to make sure that their personal finances are not intertwined with their business finances. So we also help in that particular regard as well. As a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, we offer a comprehensive housing counseling program. So that may mean that we assist with rental counseling, with financial management for homeowners. We also do reverse mortgage counseling as well, foreclosure prevention counseling, and then also we help with pre-purchase counseling. And then on the back end of purchasing a home, we also offer post-purchase counseling, and then we also offer home maintenance workshops in addition to that. So again, our organization is all about increasing the financial health and financial well-being of our community members.
That is an impressive array of options and services that Financial Pathways of the Piedmont offer. So, and just to clarify, Ms. Caldwell-George, the one of the questions I would have is, are those services free? And the second is it, what is your range of geographical range of I don't know of action? Do you only take Forsyth County residents or beyond that?
So, right now we are in the world of COVID. So we're providing services remotely and virtually. So that means that we can provide services for anyone, anywhere. But we are located in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, and that is our main focus. However, we do provide services for clients that may be outside of our geographic area. Say, for instance, that someone lives in Lexington, but they work in Winston-Salem, so they may want to seek our services that particular way. In regards to fees, we do have nominal fee structure. Currently, because we have received funding, we have been able to actually waive fees for clients, except for those things that are around home ownership. There is a small fee for service for that, and it's about $50, and that's a one-time fee, and that covers all the counseling sessions that maybe after the initial session, so all follow-up sessions are included in that particular fee.
Ms. Caldwell-George, that was an impressive array of services that your organization provides to the public. Now, how does that ties in with the work the Human Relations Department does?
Mm-hmm. So as a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, our organization, when we're working with clients, if we're able to identify a fair housing issue, or if we are working with a client that may be rental counseling and we see that perhaps it may need landlord-tenant mediation, then we will make that referral to the Human Relations Commission as well. So we are great partners in sort of determining when perhaps it may be something that needs to be escalated to address a fair housing issue.
That is great. Thank you. Now, during this pandemic, you know that the COVID-19 pandemic that has shook us to our very core, what kind of services have you been able to provide the community?
So we've been able to offer all of our services remotely and virtually. We really haven't stopped doing what we normally do, but we're just providing those services via telephone or by Zoom or Team. And so we're serving clients the way that we always have. During this pandemic, we have had to address things like foreclosure counseling, rental counseling. Sometimes if clients were facing evictions, then we were working with them in that particular regard. Most recently, we are working with the city of Winston-Salem. We were just awarded funds to provide the rent, utility, and mortgage assistance program. So we're going to be able to provide direct financial assistance for individuals and families who may be facing foreclosure, and really helping them to pay any arrears that they have. They have to meet income eligibility criteria. And so we'll be able to assist them, and it also help individuals to, maintain and stay in their homes as well.
Thank you very much. That is very interesting. I hope a lot of people use this possibility of getting funds through you guys for mortgage, right? Is that what I heard? Mortgage?
Correct. Mortgage and utilities will be able to assist with. Yes.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I hope a lot of people can really be helped through these funds that you
Right.
guys will be dispersing for this purpose. Thank you very much. Now, for those who do not know, April is Fair Housing Month. We're in
Mhm.
April, and because of the Fair Housing Month, the Human Relations Department and the City of Winston-Salem always do a Fair Housing Summit. The official name is the Fair and Affordable Fair Housing Summit. If you can, Ms. Caldwell-George, tell us a little bit about this summit. How will it be? What type of topics will be discussed in this summit?
So yes, we're really excited this year because it is the 15th Fair and Affordable Housing Summit. And this year we're going to be talking about affordable housing. We're going to be talking about some of the moratorium that exists, also looking at housing and financial assistance. We'll also have speakers from HUD. We'll have speakers from our Forsyth County Department of Housing. And this really taking a look at the lens of housing through a social justice lens as well. And so it's going to be a really engaging summit this particular year, and we're really looking forward to providing this in the community.
Wonderful. Can you remind us what date is going to be?
Yes, so the summit is on Thursday, April the 22nd. It is going to be from 2 to 4. It can be accessed by live stream. It can be live stream. We're going to be offering it virtually, of course. It will be on the city's YouTube channel and on the website, and then also on WSTV 13.
Got it. So basically, anybody with a computer or with a telephone number could potentially participate.
Right, and it will be recorded, so if someone is not able to participate while it's live, they should be able to tap into that and see it later on.
That's awesome. Well, you heard it, folks. The Fair Housing Summit will be virtual this year, and it's going to be on April the 22nd from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. I hope you guys can join us and join the expert in hearing what are the latest trends when it comes to fair housing and housing in general here in our area. Are there any topics that we left probably behind that we didn't talk about that you would like to touch on, Ms. Caldwell-George?
I think that we really were able to cover anything. What I would like to impress upon anyone, if they are in need of a financial coach, or if they're in financial crisis, whatever that financial crisis may be, that we are here as an agency to be able to assist them and to coach them in terms of asset building, in terms of wealth building. If there are small business owners, we also offer counseling as well. And what we'd like to say is get to know us before you need us. Just like you go to the physician every year for an annual exam, it's always good to do a financial well-being checkup as well, just to see how financially well you are or how you can possibly improve your finances. So we're available to our community and really help to improve the financial health of our community as well.
Well, that is awesome. We are the financial well-being of our household, of ourselves are always very, very important issues for everybody, just like the other healths that also we should be worried about. Thank you very much for your time and information, Ms. Caldwell-George. This was Phyllis Caldwell-George. She is President and CEO of Financial Pathways of the Piedmont. Thank you very much for being with us in this edition of Nexus TV. And stay with us, folks. We're going to have a second guest from Legal Aid, and he's going to be talking about also a very, very important issues regarding evictions and housing and all that is of concern in this time and age. Stay with us.
Are you behind on your rent or utilities because of COVID-19? Low-income residents can get help through the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. This program is for households with 80% or less of area median income. Other criteria apply. In Forsyth County, go to forsyth.cc/ERAP for full information on benefits, eligibility, and how to apply. If you are behind on your rent or utilities because of COVID, help is available. Go to forsyth.cc/ERAP. That's forsyth.cc/ERAP.
The Fair Housing Act became law in 1968. Landlords may not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, religion, sex, family status, or disability. If you think you've been discriminated against, call 311 and ask for the Human Relations Department. Fair housing, it's the law. A message from the Winston-Salem Human Relations Department.
Well, thank you very much for still being with us in this edition of Nexus TV. Our second guest of the show is Mr. Edward Sharp. He is a supervising attorney with Legal Aid of North Carolina. Mr. Sharp, thank you very much for being with us in Nexus TV.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Now, let's talk about a little bit of what you do. Precisely, a legal aid. What kind of what kind of work does legal aid does in the area of landlord-tenant, Mr. Sharp?
We represent tenants in eviction defense. We represent tenants in fair housing cases, although that's relatively rare, but we do that. We advise tenants on a whole host of landlord tenant and fair housing issues when we don't have the resources to represent them ourselves. When we can, we sometimes refer cases out to private attorneys if we don't have the resources to handle the case ourselves. We hold a lot of clinics to, well, the clinics are all online, but we have these online clinics run really by our centralized intake unit or helpline in Raleigh that help educate tenants about landlord-tenant issues. So we have a whole host of different services that we provide, but we do occasionally, we don't have enough attorneys to do this, but in certain circumstances, we will do rent abatement cases where the conditions are substandard and the tenant is entitled to get some of their rent back. We will sometimes pursue those claims in court, but it takes a lot of resources to do a case like that. And unfortunately, I'm sorry to say that there are thousands and thousands of such cases. So we can only do a few of them, but we do sometimes do cases like that as well.
That is interesting to know. And I'm pretty sure that you probably have more requests for service that you can possibly, take care of.
Yes, that is definitely
not only in these times of the pandemic, but probably even before the pandemic, legal aid was like that. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Sharp. Now, what kind of how do you work with the Human Relations Department in this area of landlord and tenants?
I would say in three main areas. First, we refer cases to the city of Winston-Salem and actually also the city of Greensboro for landlord-tenant mediation. It's entirely voluntary, so both sides have to agree to the mediation, but we refer cases that we think could be productively mediated by the city, and some of them are, so we're quite happy about that. Winston-Salem HRC also does fair housing investigations, and so we refer cases that we think need to be investigated for fair housing claims. And then third is events like this, or there's a lot of different events that we do that I would say fall into the category of community education or outreach of some kind, or perhaps just cooperating, because we're both working in the housing field to try to either educate ourselves or educate other people about what's going on in the housing world in Winston-Salem.
That's correct. That's correct. And that's a very, very fertile area of collaboration when it comes to housing in general. Now, is there a current pandemic moratorium regarding tenant evictions? If so, who issued the moratorium, and can you summarize it? If we can try to use this forum to give this information about the moratorium, the eviction moratorium. Well, what is that information that is relevant now, Mr. Sharp?
So the moratorium technically is issued by the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, which is a branch of the, an agency of the federal government. However, the moratorium in North Carolina is controlled more by Governor Cooper's executive orders. He's issued several executive orders that extend the moratorium as the CDC has extended it. He has issued executive orders that match the CDC's moratorium, but he has also added several very important obligations on the part of landlords and tenants. So to answer your first question, the moratorium right now lasts until June 30. I suspect, it's just a guess on my part, that it probably will not be extended after that. But right now it extends till June 30. And what that means is that if it's a non-payment case, a tenant is being evicted for non-payment, and they are able to truthfully sign the CDC declaration that is easily available online, that talks about the fact that they can't afford to pay their rent. They've tried to make timely partial payments. They have reached out for rental assistance. They've applied for rental assistance. Those are the main ones, but there are certain things that the tenant has to be able to declare in order to qualify. And in that case, they then would be protected from eviction. And my understanding is that the moratorium is actually preventing relatively few evictions, but it is keeping some people in their homes for now, and we are grateful for that, because obviously moving around during a pandemic just makes the pandemic worse. The other thing I wanted to say about the Governor Cooper's executive orders is that landlords are required under that order to give a blank copy of the CDC declaration form to their tenants if they're evicting them for any reason. And then they must file an affidavit with the court that that certifies that they have given that blank form to the tenant. If the tenant then signs the CDC declaration and returns it to the landlord must file it with the clerk of court, must inform the court of having done so. And if the landlord then believes that the eviction should go forward, they must file a written response, file it with the clerk, and give it to the court in order to proceed. So a landlord might say, well, I received this signed CDC declaration, but I am proceeding anyway because the tenant has committed criminal activity and therefore is not covered by the CDC moratorium or by Governor Cooper's order. Whatever. They have to file. The landlord has to file a written response, and the court then holds a hearing on whether or not the eviction can go forward based on that written response and the testimony supporting it.
That's very interesting, Mr. Sharp. And failure to do so from the landlord, will that result in an automatic dismissal, or what can we expect if the landlord doesn't do this?
The judicial official presiding over the trial is the one who decides that, not me. So evictions are typically presided over by magistrates, and the magistrate would certainly have the authority to dismiss the eviction if the landlord fails to do that. But I can't say that it's automatic. That's really up to the judicial official presiding over the trial.
I understand, but it's still very useful to know that these steps must be taken if according to the regulations in place, correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. Now, is legal aid providing financial assistance to tenants?
Ordinarily, the answer is no, but during the pandemic, we are providing limited financial assistance. Fairly early on in the pandemic, the Winston-Salem Foundation was one of the very first organizations to recognize the crisis that was happening in housing. And we received a grant from the Winston-Salem Foundation to provide housing, and we have used that grant to keep people in their homes, to keep people in safe and affordable housing to the extent that we can. At this point, we are mostly directing people who qualify to the HOPE program or to its successors, the ERAP, sometimes called ERAP program, administered by the city of Winston-Salem. But we are still using the Winston-Salem Foundation funds to try to help people who, for whatever reason, don't qualify for ERAP funds, or basically who can't get help anywhere else. We're definitely still providing financial assistance to tenants when it's feasible to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Now, a question is, do they have to be clients, legal aid clients? I mean, do legal aid has to be representing them in court for them to receive those funds? Or just anybody can come and ask legal aid, hey, can you help me?
They have to be legal aid clients.
Okay.
That does not necessarily mean that we're helping them in court. It means that we have to be helping them.
Oh, okay.
In one fashion or another. They have to be clients.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it. Thank you very much. Now, is there any other information that you would like for landlords and tenants to know as the pandemic continues? Is there something else that we probably need to talk about regarding this?
Yes. I would urge landlords and tenants to work together. What I have seen is that some landlords feel that they are entitled to evict their tenants even though we're in the middle of a pandemic. I have seen some tenants who think, well, there's a moratorium, I can't be evicted, so I don't have to pay my rent. I believe that both of those attitudes are harmful. Even if this crisis is not affecting you personally, we are in the middle of a national and an international crisis, and we all need to work together. And what that means is landlords need to understand that these are not normal times, and they need to take perhaps a different tactic than they ordinarily would. And that means helping tenants apply for rental assistance so that the landlord can get paid and the tenant can stay where they are. And the tenant needs to realize that pandemic or no, they are obligated to pay rent. So I would urge landlords and tenants to work together to maintain the relationship in the most positive manner possible, to get rental assistance from wherever it is you can get it, and instead of simply trying to win, work together so that everybody wins, because that's the only way this is going to work.
I understand. Thank you very much, Mr. Sharp. So just to summarize briefly what you just said, tenants still have to pay the rent regardless of the pandemic, correct? And there is still a possibility that they can be evicted regardless these moratoriums, correct, in place, correct? Yes. But landlords also should try to have this consideration to tenants and help in any way they can. That's the exhortation that we're hearing, correct?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Sharp, for your time. This was Edward Sharp. He's a supervising attorney with Legal Aid of North Carolina. Thank you very much for your time and information, Mr. Sharp.
Thank you.
And please stay with us, all the guests, and all the. Thank you for still being with us. We're going to go now to the Nexus Challenge with Jayme.
Thanks, Adolfo. I'm Jayme Waldeck, and this is the Nexus Challenge, where we test your knowledge about fair housing laws. Here's our first question. Which of the following is not a protected class under fair housing law? A, race, B, family status, C, credit standing, D, religion. The answer is C. Individuals cannot be denied housing on the basis of race, family status, or religion. However, they can be denied if they do not meet a housing provider or lender's credit requirements. There are 7 characteristics in total for which a housing provider cannot deny an individual. We have already discussed race, family status, and religion. The other 4 characteristics are color, gender, national origin, and disability. In honor of Fair Housing Month, we would like to give more detail on what these terms mean. Race and color, these are 2 separate but closely related characteristics. Race refers to a person's physical appearance, and color refers to a characteristic of a person's race. National origin. National origin is based on whether applicants or their families are from another country. Discrimination based on national origin means treating people differently because of their ancestry, accent, ethnicity, birthplace, culture, or language. Religion. Religion refers to members of a particular faith or belief system and may also cover anyone based on spiritual beliefs, even if a person is not affiliated with a particular religious group. Sex. Sex refers to treating women or men differently based on gender. This can also be in the form of discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity. It also bans sexual harassment against both men and women. Disability. Disability refers to a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activity. However, individuals who currently use illegal drugs or pose a direct threat to the health and safety of others are not considered disabled under the FHA. Family status. Family status refers to households with 1 or more children who are under 18 years of age, whether living with a parent, legal guardian, or anyone else with written permission. It also applies to pregnant women and anyone in process of securing legal custody of a minor child, such as a foster or adoptive parent. And that's this month's Nexus Challenge. I'm Jayme Waldeck. Now let's go back to Wanda.
Thank you, Jayme. Before we go, here's a look at some upcoming events. We hope you enjoyed the program. Thank you for watching Nexus. I'm Wanda Allen Abraha. See you next time.